HGTV, but we're out in the trenches flipping and selling houses. This one was a lot of work, but we had a lot of fun doing it. Come check it out.
We should tell everybody what it was like to go through this process, and you know, some of our things that we've learned. All right,
the key points.
Tell everybody what the key points were, and you know, some of the things that we've learned. We've done this before, but you know, it's always a learning experience.
Yeah, this one, first step really for anybody and for us was going to be financing. When you're financing a flip house, you know, you could be living in it. It's a different kind of a loan. We went with hard money, which a lot of people call it. The company we found is called Fund That Flip, and they were great. They allowed us to put down a small down payment that they also put towards the rehab costs.
I thought they were really easy to work with, but the interest rate is higher than a conventional mortgage or, you know, most typical mortgages. So.
Yeah, it's about 4% more, but worth it. And it's a year's loan, so you have a year to fix up the house. The first 3 months are up front, and so you don't even have to worry about making any kind of payments for the first 3 months. So it made it pretty simple as far as the financiers are concerned.
I would imagine, I'm sorry.
Oh, and it didn't affect us in buying other houses too, which is
Right.
a huge thing. Like if you go with conventional or the typical financing, that's going to count towards purchasing other houses towards your debt to income ratio, whereas this doesn't. It's kind of on the side.
Well, I think it's important to say that probably every mortgage company or Fund That Flip type company will have a different process and different solution for, you know, everybody's needs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be the same for everyone.
Right. But it's a good way to go if you're going to flip a house, to go with hard money and go with a company like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely count that into your expense. Oh my gosh, how many contractors did we use here?
Oh.
Landscaping, demolition on the front bricks. We used a contractor to remove tile, someone to put the tile in.
And we did a lot of it ourselves. I mean, we bought this house right before the hurricane hit, and so immediately after the hurricane, it was really hard to find good contractors that would show up.
Right. But we spent a lot of money on contractors, but not as much as we could have if we didn't get our hands dirty and do a little sweat equity.
Did a lot of the work ourselves, which ended up saving money, but time is money.
Costs time, time. It's all a matter of what it costs. So got a couple quotes from a couple different contractors, you know, and we obviously went with someone not necessarily because they were cheapest, but maybe about availability or something like that.
Yeah.
You want to say that better than I did? Once I plumbed it up.
We found several good contractors through this process, and we were able to find somebody that wasn't necessarily the cheapest, but they had a good book of references. They had done good work. They were able to show us work that they'd done in the past, and they showed up on time and did a great job.
Armand was great.
Yeah, Armand was great.
Mm-hmm. All right, what else? We have the hurricane.
So the flooring was a big deal. That was probably the biggest part. So we had a lot of tile throughout this house, and there were a couple of different kinds of tile. And one thing that I learned is we ended up putting the vinyl flooring down, which looks fantastic, but I guess you can put that over top of tile instead of taking the tile out. So removing the tile ended up being a tremendous hard part of the job.
Oh my gosh, that's one thing we learned is we don't need to take out the tile, but we did. Cost us a lot of extra money, time, and
my back still hurts.
It
was hard. Had to rent a chipping hammer and basically chip it all out of here, and then Epoxy Kings does garage floors mainly, but they got a machine that basically grinds all the thin set that's left behind, and they were able to come and get the floor clean, and were able to put down the new floor. But that was the biggest and longest and hardest process. Mm-hmm. So the kitchen was a big deal. We had, we'll show you here later, I guess, one of these, I don't even know what to call it, ceiling details that are pretty popular.
1980s ceiling.
80s and 90s, they put these plastic drop-down ceilings in with lighting in them, and you know, I'm sure back in that day it looked great, but not so great now. So we had somebody come in and replace that, and now it's something a little bit more modern.
Everybody gave us a lot of compliments on it. It wasn't my first choice, but it looked a lot better than what was there before with this 1980s drop ceiling tile.
Yeah, if you've got that in the house, it's got to go. It's worth every
It's very
penny. It's
big,
not
yeah.
very expensive to take it out and replace it, and the result is really good. The kitchen, so we were lucky enough that they had replaced these cabinets and put down this nice butcher block countertop.
Which is very expensive.
Yeah, and so that was already done, so that was a huge plus. Nice stainless steel appliances, but the center island here was original, old, had the old countertop on it. And so what we ended up doing is taking the drawers and the cabinet doors and finding a company to match those. And then we painted the base of the island and then put matching hardware on everything. So it all looks like it's cohesive and supposed to be there.
Yeah,
And it all matches up and it looks great. And then we put a new granite countertop. So we have granite countertops and butcher block, which is another feature. You know, we're gonna walk through and show features that we really took out of new construction houses. So we tour a lot of new construction all the time anyway, but we took a lot of cues from what's going on in the construction industry in newer houses, and we try to implement that into this house to make it not only compete with those houses, but look similar to what they do.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah. And that takes us to the closet. The closets were a huge thing.
That was your thing. You really wanted the closets to be special because, you know, well, you appreciate our closets, and that means, you know, a lot for staying organized.
Yeah, and our houses, and what we noticed in showing newer, you know, $1 million plus houses, is that they don't have the wire shelving in
That's
the
like
closets.
spec home.
Yeah.
Not that that's bad, but we just wanted an upgrade.
And that's typical of what you find, and that's what was in this house. And so we took it out, and instead of putting it back in, we went down to Lowe's and
Got the extra special.
got a nice kit. We'll show you here in a second.
You're very proud of that.
Yeah, I am. So the bathrooms are another big deal. Most houses that are in this situation where you're going to be flipping it, most likely the bathrooms are going to look pretty shabby and old and outdated. And the bathrooms are really where you can make your money because it's not very expensive to replace the tiles in the shower. Vanities are really cheap and easy to replace. For the money that you get back from it, the bathrooms and floors are probably where the two big things that make the money.
I think it's kitchens, bathrooms, and floors. That's where the homes will show their age. And so if you keep those rooms or those elements updated, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the electric, you know, just replacing, we had all the outlets and switches replaced, which was not a lot of money at all. But
it wasn't a lot of money because my kids are electricians. That helps.
helps.
And they work at an electrical supply company, so discount.
Right. But it's not rocket science, but you know, I mean, it's definitely something you can do yourself, or you can hire an electrician to do it. It's not a big expense, but if you walk through a house that's been redone and all the outlets are old and nasty looking and maybe have probably
My eye
been
goes
painted
right
over,
to that.
it's something that's cheap that is a big upgrade that people definitely notice. It's one of the first things people say when they walk through the house. They notice the old outlets, which you could have replaced the entire house outlets. I think it costs us maybe a few $100. Yeah, worth it for sure.
Yeah.
And then paint.
That speaks for itself. I mean, that's like the oldest trick in the book is just throw a new coat of paint and everything looks fresh, it smells fresh, and it makes a world of difference, especially if you use the more modern tones. Like you can literally go to HGTV or Benjamin Moore or, you know, any of the paint companies and just see, you know, what is the most popular color right now and just follow that. And it really dresses up the house.
Yeah. Just neutral, something neutral, and that way if they want to change the color, but same color all throughout the house. So we painted the entire house and the ceilings, and yeah, it really makes a big difference. And we replaced the baseboards. That's another
huge
upgrade that didn't cost a lot of money, and we're taking the flooring out anyway, so it made sense to take the baseboards out, lay the new flooring down, put new baseboards in, but thicker, higher baseboards.
How big is that? What would you say, 5 inches, 6 inches?
Those are, yeah, 5 or 6 inches.
It just makes a huge difference because like 1980s style baseboards are all those real narrow little,
yeah, like 2
and
inches
they all
tall.
are goobed up because they've been painted 4,000 times. So this just makes it look nice, clean, and crisp.
Yeah, gives it a fresh new look for not a lot of money. And then lighting fixtures is the other thing. Fans and lights in the dining room, and anywhere you can replace a light, it's worth doing. Again, not a big investment, but it makes a big difference.
It all adds up though, I mean.
It does end up adding up.
What do you think someone should look for when they're thinking about flipping a home?
If you're getting into flipping a house, the big thing to look for is go to new construction houses, go to new homes that are being built right now. That is going to give you a huge advantage. You'll be able to see not only for the competition what's out there when it comes time for you to sell, what are you going to be competing against. You want to have similar flooring and kitchens and everything else, every little detail of the house that you can basically copy and replicate in your house that you're redoing, is you're certain to be modern and updated for your particular area. So those are the keys that you want to tour newer houses that are just finished being built, so you can get up to date on your specific area too.
Yeah, so something very open to what most people are, like the taste of most people. And you want to follow what most people's tastes are at that time. Don't buy a closeout lot of shitty floor. Oh, I won't say that. So ARV, after repair value, how do you determine that?
That's the biggest thing to consider. I mean, how much money are you going to make? How much meat is on the bones here when you buy it? What is it going to be?
That's the point.
What's it going to be worth when you sell it? So you got to figure out, what's it going to cost to get it to that point? And then you can look at other homes that have already been done. There's always going to be other homes that have been recently remodeled. Go and look at those, and if those have the kind of the fit and finish of what you're thinking, that's going to give you a great idea what your after repair value is going to be. So that'll give you a good estimate, so you can range. Okay, I'm going to buy this house. I've got maybe $100,000 I'm going to be able to make. It's probably going to cost me about $30,000 to get there, so I could have a rough after repair value and a net profit of maybe $70,000 or so.
Good numbers.
It's a good way to look at it. So after you get it all repaired and fixed up, should you sell it yourself to try to save the money, or why wouldn't you try to sell it yourself? Why would you want to hire a realtor?
Well, you can sell it yourself. That's that's certainly an option. However, a realtor will have greater exposure. A realtor will have greater exposure just because they put it on the MLS and that sends it out to Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, every website. And of course, then you're going to have expert representation when it comes to navigating through, the repairs, possibly the appraisal, and any other things that might come up during the sale. You want to hang on to every dollar you possibly can, and sometimes, you need an expert to help you do that.
And it's kind of an insurance policy. I mean, if things go sideways.
Oh, you know about that, don't you?
Often,
Yeah, we have, as realtors, we have E&O insurance just in case something wonky happens. That insurance is there to cover you and your transaction.
Yeah. But you're responsible. You got to stand behind the repairs that you made and what you did to the house. But then if you're also standing behind it as the seller and representing yourself and the house and going under contract, the likelihood of you missing something and you don't have experience doing this and it causing trouble for you, it's worth every dime.
Absolutely.
Even myself, we used a realtor to sell this house, and represent the buyer. It's worth every penny.
Well, we'll save that story that you
Yeah,
have for another
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But from experience that it's definitely worth it to hire a realtor.
Yep, absolutely.
What else? Now I'm going to
That's
follow you
kinda it.
around with a video.
Yeah, let's just walk around and
Let's do a
Let's go
walkthrough
check it
and
out.
kind of show you the things that we worked on.
All right, so we'll start here in the kitchen. We were lucky enough that the previous owners had replaced these cabinets and put this nice butcher block down. The island here was original, and so it didn't match. And this island was just old, it was dated, it was a different color. And so the first thing that we did is we went out and we got a cabinet maker to make doors and drawer faces that match.
Let's see.
And then we got hardware to match. And so looking at this, you wouldn't know, but this is definitely before and this is after. And so we took all these out, we painted the island to match, and then we got a custom piece of granite to go on top. So it came out really well. And again, looking at newer houses and newer construction, this is kind of a thing that's going on. You'll see butcher block matched with granite in the higher end houses. Here we have it here.
Nice.
So the flooring was the biggest part of the job. We had tile all throughout here. There was carpet in a couple of the bedrooms and tile in the master. And we decided we were going to get rid of all the flooring. So all the flooring is the same all throughout the house, which is a big selling point and something that you'll find in the newer construction homes. They're all going to have matching same flooring all throughout. So we got this luxury vinyl plank is what they call it, and it came out. It looks great, and it's not incredibly expensive. It was a few $1,000s for the materials. I ended up putting it down myself. You can hire it out. The quotes that I got was $5,000 to lay this floor. And so I ended up doing it myself. It took me about a week, but the hard part was getting rid of the old tile. I had to go down to Lowe's and get basically a jackhammer and jackhammer all this tile out of here. My back still hurts. It's been a few months since I finished, and definitely recommend hiring that out if you're going to end up doing it. But it's a big, messy job. I found out later, I didn't know this, but you can actually lay this floor down on top of tile. So next time I would probably do that. I would just lay this on top of the tile.
Lesson learned, big time.
Huge lesson, huge lesson. But it came out great.
Yeah.
And big selling point of the house. So when we took everything apart and took the tile out of here, we took the baseboards off, and it was that small 2-inch tile. And this is, I think, like a 5 or 6 inch baseboard, but gives it a much better, more modern look that we're seeing in new construction homes. We matched it.
Ooh.
Now the bathroom was the old typical tile bathroom. We took out the medicine cabinet and put this little niche in, replaced the light, replaced this vanity, new granite countertop. This whole bathroom cost us materials and everything. And we had this done professionally. It was about $5,000. So not a bad investment. So we got both bathrooms done for not a lot of money, and they came out great.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah, and even new toilets.
Even new toilets.
Expensive, but gives it a new look, and people like new toilets.
People like new toilets.
Well, let's show them the master closet instead of these.
Okay.
So the garage, another simple thing. Show the garage. Just cleaned it up, and I just painted the garage floor. Not a lot of money.
Hurricane shutters.
Yeah.
Nice and clean.
Yeah. New hot water heater, and not a big investment, but goes a long way when you're trying to sell it. You can say it's got a new water heater. People like that.
People like new. I like new.
Yeah. So in here, we didn't replace this vanity. Again, got kind of matching hardware throughout the rest of the house. I just painted it. So this was, regular wood color vanity, and I just sanded everything down and went and bought a sprayer at Lowe's, and I sprayed all this and painted it. And
Looks
it looks
nice.
nice and new instead of replacing it. And then of course we've got granite countertops to put in.
It looks brand new. I mean, it was in decent shape.
Yeah.
It was in decent shape,
Had a
so.
couple little nicks and stuff in it that sanded right out, so it cleaned up really well. And yeah, it's just a few hours of work, and it looks like brand new instead of buying a brand new vanity. And so painted all these doors as well, and put them back on. It's pretty simple. So the closets, to me, are a huge thing. So when you walk through newer houses that are in the $1 million range, they'll have something more like this.
Everybody knows it as a California closet.
Yeah. Instead of the wire shelving that you have in most houses that are $1 million and less.
You're very proud of your closet.
Even in $800,000 houses, you'll have those wire shelving. So down at Lowe's, I think this kit was $150. Really easy to install. Just took a couple hours, put it all together, put it up on the wall, and for $150, and I did this in all 3 closets. You're going from wire shelving to this for a total investment of $450 and a few hours of time.
Yeah, worth it.
A huge, huge upgrade. And All right, so out front here, we had what a lot of houses have. I don't even know what to call it, but it's stonework on the front of the house, which was really popular in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, late 80s.
And it is a very dated look. So we had that removed and had a stucco professional come, and that's really an artwork. And so we had a guy that really knew what he was doing.
That.
Yeah, to come and match the stucco. And then we painted over the whole thing, and it came out great.
Take a look.